Hi, this is Sean, and welcome to Module 3 of Learning Analytics, a seminar at the University of Missouri-Columbia. I'm here to talk about explicit indicators of learning that can be designed and culled from online learning systems. You'll see in your readings this week that we're going to look at a progression of manual analysis of online learning interactions, of mechanical or computing analysis of the text that people use in online learning systems, and finally of using the results of that analysis to design new kinds of learning systems or learning analytic systems in particular. And the thing that I think is most important to understand about learning analytics and explicit indicators of learning is that the theory that you use to approach learning and teaching in an online or technologically mediated environment is going to guide how you interpret data and measure learning. So for example, if I'm concerned or I think about learning as something that an individual receives or accomplishes within their own mind, something that is sort of absorbed by the individual, then the ways that I would seek to measure learning is to evaluate the individual. So I would compare an individual's performance in one case against that same individual's performance in a second case where they would have been expected to acquire knowledge, or perhaps I would compare that individual to other individuals. So that's an individual theory of learning that will lead me to use things, for example, like rubrics of individual accomplishment. In contrast, there are other theories of learning that focus on the group or the small group unit of analysis in particular. And in these cases, what we're most interested in is how do people interact with each other to produce knowledge? The theory of group cognition that Dr. Stahl, who is one of the authors of one of the papers that we're reading in this module, does is he understands and analyzes the interactions that sequentially occur in text chat between two or more, usually three, students in an online or technologically mediated environment. Now, the environments that Dr. Stahl studies are principally asynchronous or chat-like collaborative environments that also include whiteboards and other technology-like mediation, similar to what you might be familiar with in Google Docs. When we want to understand group theories of learning in an asynchronous setting, like the one that we're in right now, we can look at longer running and larger sections of text. So for example, when you're chatting, you're creating very small sequences of talk. When you're participating in a discussion board, in contrast, usually you're using several paragraphs at a time. And it's in these cases where machine learning or text analysis from a computer can be used, sometimes informed by the manual coding that someone like Dr. Stahl or even myself might do to show how learning is occurring or how knowledge or new information is being constructed between students in a group. And so these are ways that explicit measures of learning can be developed. And I'm not prescribing for you here the specific ways that you might think about measuring learning, but I'm giving you some ideas that others are working with, including myself and other people here at the University of Missouri, for trying to help teachers in large online environments in particular develop indicators of what groups of students are learning most effectively and what groups of students might need a little additional assistance. Finally, there's an article by Jack Carroll and his group at Penn State that talks about what they call positive design. And this is the idea that in many respects the design of technology-mediated learning has been treated as some kind of impaired version of classroom learning. And in the article that you're going to read for this module, you will see that they make a pretty strong argument that there are advantages that exist in an online learning environment that don't exist in a face-to-face environment. And there are ways that we can design to take advantage of those opportunities. And I think learning analytics and the design of indicators that help teachers especially discern the differences between individuals and groups in online environments so that they can intervene and help with learning with the people who need it the most, and perhaps in some cases even take advantage of students who are making the most progress to treat them as peer tutors in an online learning environment. So these are some of many ideas. I look forward to your discussions online, and let's enjoy this module.